Alright, so tonight's lesson is going to be soloing over key changes, and I want to take a simple approach. I want to use the minor pentatonic scale to target these, and the reason is because we're going to be using 4-note chords, so major 7s, and the pentatonic is a 5-note scale. So it only makes sense to me to use a scale closely related to the chords so I'm not overwhelmed with options and less bad notes that I could hit, possibly. So I want to go over a couple concepts. One is, if we're playing a major 7, trying to find a pentatonic mode that fits over that, I would look at this area right here and try and think of a mode that fits over that. And you can see that mode 3 fits nicely over that, right? So that minor triad right there is like an inverted major 7. So it's kind of like a safety net as you're playing over that. And then if I want to switch to just viewing this as a major chord, then that bar right there is the backside of mode 1 of the pentatonic. So I can alternate between the mode 3 that'll all work nicely. So if I sit on that note right there, your ear might start hearing minor, but if I'm hitting the note D, you're going to hear a major 7, and it's like I'm starting on the 3rd of the chord. The 3rd, 5th, 6th, and the 7th right there. Right there. So those are important tones that you kind of nail right away. So I can juggle between those two concepts, thinking about that over just one chord. Even without the backing track, hopefully you can hear the two chords that I'm playing over. So chord 1, chord 2. The quick and easy way, even though it's a major 7 chord, you could also think of it as just a major and just play mode 1. So you have your chord tones right here. That's, if you know your cage sequence, that's a G shape. That's your 5th root 3rd, right? So, but you don't have to know that. You can just say every time I play a chord like that, where my finger's barred, I just move up with my first finger and play mode 1 of the pentatonic. It's an easy way out. It's a mindless way out, but it's fine. It's like you teach your kid colors, They didn't have to go through the alphabet just to learn blue, black, green, or something like that. They just started saying the words first, and then you can go back and learn the alphabet and how to spell these. But for now, go ahead and just piece that together, that when I play a major chord, mode 1 works for that. Right? No matter where I play that. If I played it here, right? Just play mode 1 there. Right, but in this case we're playing a D major, and when I played major 7, switch to mode 3 in that same position. So I was playing mode 1, now I'm going to go to mode 3, and that's going to work nice over the major 7. So there's the concept there, and we're going to be moving that parallel. So first what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the track, and I'm just going to use mode 1 just to show you how that'll actually work in itself. So hopefully over that you can actually hear that still works even using mode 1 over both of them. And I like to change it up because if you do the same thing like that, it doesn't really sound, to me it doesn't sound musical. It starts to sound generic and predictable. This will give it a little bit more taste. I'm gonna use mode 3 over the first chord, D major 7, and when I go to C major 7, I'm gonna use mode 1. So it's almost like chord tone soloing. And if you can focus on maybe the center 3 strings here, the second to fourth. Change it up a little bit. Well, I moved into mode 2 right there, so we'll get to that in just a second. So that's kind of the concept. So now I'm taking mode 3 right here over D major. So I'm basically playing F sharp minor. And then I'm going to A minor. And then sometimes I switch to E minor. Mode 3 of E minor, because that also in C major, that would be the third, E. Just thinking about the patterns, and you can see that pattern, mode 3, fits over that major 7 chord as well. And that's really important stuff to kind of grasp from a visual perspective, a muscle memory perspective, just a simplistic, mindless perspective. That way you're not really consumed with, you know, oh, am I hitting a 7th, a 3rd, a blah. You know, that's a lot of stuff that you don't want to be thinking about. You know, when you ask your kid, what color is that? You don't want them to go, oh, it's a B, L, U. I mean, it'd take forever for them. It's blue. Just say it's blue. Just go right to it. It's blue. This is gonna kind of open up ideas to where you're gonna start playing next to notes that sound good, and you're gonna have memorable positions or fingering patterns that will actually be applicable to sound musical. So the next step, let's say, so I'm over C major 7, or excuse me, C major. So I'm over D major 7. And I'm playing F sharp minor, or the mode 3 in that position there. Well, then when it goes to C major 7, I don't want to move back now. I want to stop this whole thing. I want to stay right here. So what do I do then? Well, if we moved back and we went to mode 1, to stay in this position, I would just play mode 2. Right? So now I would be playing mode 3. Right, and that's going to sound a lot more interesting, especially if I move that around. So now when I go back to mode 1 here. So now I can find the direct notes that are close by the notes I'm already hitting, so I don't have to do like some kind of a just starting at the first note that you know in that mode. And that's just not going to sound musical. That's going to sound premeditated, like a rehearsed speech, like certain politicians, huh? It's not such a bad thing, I suppose. But that's kind of what that's about. Is you want to sound as natural as possible. You want to sound off the cuff when you're improvising, I believe. And in order to do that, you have to have a good amount of vocabulary words that are accessible, and these are kind of the words that you're learning over these chords. So the chords is the subject, and the scales are the words you're going to use to talk about the subject. Kind of think of it like that. And so in this case, let's give that example where we're moving around over the backing track and see what happens. Alright, so there you have it. Hopefully that kind of opens up some doors for you. If this helped, please subscribe to my channel. Share my channel with your friends. You just have to buy my book. So I'll catch you guys next time when I make another video in my garage.